We know that our Black communities have been hardest hit community during the pandemic. We also know that as a race, we also face inequalities within society, and we have to work twice as hard as our colleagues from other cultures in order to succeed. So now is a time to reflect and plan how Black businesses can move forward out of this pandemic. This evening will be recorded, and a copy of the recording will be placed on the New Testament Church of God's website, hopefully within a week. You will be able to place questions in the chat function and also have an opportunity to ask direct questions in the breakout room when we have our breakout rooms. We request that if you are going to ask questions, that you respectfully pose your questions, and please ensure that you're succinct in putting your questions in the chat or in the breakout rooms. So we want to hear from as many people as possible. In the opening, we'll be hearing from the Assistant Chief Executive of Brent Council, which is Shazia Hussain. She will be talking about the Black Community Action Plan. We will also then hear from 2 Black businesses who will give their perspective of how they coped with the pandemic and how they are likely to move forward out of lockdown. And I will introduce them with a short bio from each. We will then go into a breakout room for 20 minutes, asking 5 key questions. They are, how have you coped with how has your business coped with the COVID-19 pandemic? What have you done to keep going in lockdown? Did you make any use of government support packages? Will you reorient your business coming out of lockdown? And what support is required for you to readjust post-lockdown? There will be a lot of sub-questions within that, but a facilitator will run those sessions and they will relay back to us your responses in the open session. There will be time for questions and answers with the panel, and then such session will be summarized by each panel member. I then will close the session with a closing poll for the evening. So we're now going to have the opening poll. There's 16 people here. So if you can fill out the poll as soon as you see it. Joel, if you could put the poll up, please. So you are to answer one of the answers within each question. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. So could you please go ahead? Okay.
Sorry, I might have clicked a little bit quickly there. Was it just 2 questions, Robert?
Yeah, it's just 2 questions.
Thank you.
Okay, there's 7 of 9 people who have answered. I'm going to give people the time to the other 2 persons to answer the question. Okay, if we end the polling now, because it doesn't seem anybody else is going to answer. Okay, so we see that the highest answer for question 1 is that they're curious what will be said at this event, number 1. And the other one was they'd like to learn everything that's on offer, basically what the community action plans are about, how could you join up with like-minded Black businesses, and also learn about new opportunities that may become available. Okay, I'm going to share the results now so that you could see it. Okay. Right, thank you for that. I'm now going to introduce Clarissa McDonald. She's an award-winning founder of Curly by Nature, who provides a range of plant-based hair products that she personally has formulated specifically for people with genetically curly hair. Her background in hairdressing has led not only to creating award-winning products, but also fuels her passion for coaching and educating people of curly hair types. Her studio is based in North Wembley and she's been operating since 2013. Clarissa's award include University of Hertfordshire Flair Award winner for Best Business Concept, which was Curly by Nature, winner of the Start Young Global Entrepreneur Award for Best Hair and Beauty Brand. And in 2018, she was a winner of the Black Beauty and Fashion Awards Best Hair Treatment. So Clarissa, over to you.
Hi everyone. So I really wanted to share my experience with how COVID affected me. As Robert introduced, I have got a studio. Predominantly I formulate hair care products and I sell it online and to local salons and some international salons. But then I also do more by educating people on how to take care of their hair. So at my studio, I actually deliver treatments and train people on how to take care of their hair. And how it's affected me is because I can't see my clients because obviously I'm in a bracket of a salon as well. But what was really good is that my online sales increased a lot. I had more time with my children, as you all know. We had to homeschool. But what I thought was really good was the ability to reflect on businesses. Sometimes I think on your own business and how it's performed, I think sometimes everyone's just doing like go, go, go. But it gave me the opportunity to really reflect, see how I done and how I really want to move forward and see if I should continue in the direction that I'm going in. To answer the second question, how have I kept going? It was really mainly that, really looking deep within myself, how I can reach more people. And I also invested in myself by taking more courses on learning about digital marketing, understanding, connecting with more people as well in the community, which I thought was a great opportunity because everybody was online. In terms of support, I did take out a small government loan, but I thought there's a lot of other support packages that just the community in general was doing, and I was able to learn so much in terms of how to raise investment. Those are the kind of things that I'm looking to do at the moment. Crowdfunding, which is what I like to launch in several weeks, like coming out of lockdown. But also, I really did want to pivot. So whilst I really enjoy doing one-to-ones and educating people on a one-to-one basis, I felt like it would have more impact in doing one-to-many. And so COVID allowed me to think about how I can reach more people in a shorter space of time. And I would say that's one great thing that came out of COVID. So really thinking bigger, and it gave me a kick to sort of speed up my activation in terms of reaching more people. So in terms of the support required, for Brent specifically, I'd love to connect with more small businesses, people who are solo founders, or they've got small teams or big teams, even, it doesn't matter. I think just connecting with other people with businesses is really important, especially for me specifically. So yeah, is there any more, did I cover everything, Robert? You're on mute.
I just realized. Yes, I think you have covered them. Yeah, you've got a couple of more minutes, so if people want to ask you direct questions,
Please
if they
do.
could put it in the chat. Yeah, there's nothing in the chat, so does anyone want to ask Clarissa a question?
Hi, it's Charm here. Sorry, I'm just coming in. I've just rushed through the door and I'm eating, so it's not really a good look to really be coming on camera. So just good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
I'm new to even participating in, you know, these meetings, etc. I've been added in by Ruby.
Mm.
And basically, I organised a pop-up market last year.
Right.
During lockdown.
Do you have a question to put to Clarissa?
Oh, sorry, I'm getting carried away, aren't I?
Yeah.
I didn't actually have a question per se, but the intro was really just to say, hi, Clarissa. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. As a result of me being in the community, setting up the market, I'd love to collaborate because natural hair products is so much in demand, and I know we can do great things together, joining together with your product and at the market.
Okay, well, Clarissa, if you could put your details in the chat so people can make contact with you.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay.
So please reach out to me, clarissa@curlybynature.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and my handle is curlybyn across all platforms.
Okay, thank you, Clarissa. I'm now going to introduce the next speaker.
Sorry,
Well,
before you do,
Okay.
I see a question. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry. Hi, Clarissa. Yeah, you mentioned that you sort of over COVID, it gave you time to sort of re-strategize and rethink your business and how you could reach sort of very many people.
Yeah.
How did you go about that? What worked for you?
So for me, it's digital marketing. I'm understanding the mechanics of it. So it's really understanding my target market, utilizing Facebook's social media ads, paid ads as well, that I can, you know, profit from and reach more people that are looking for, like, they're ready to buy what I offer.
Great, that's brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there any other question before I move on? Okay, speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, Mary.
Hi, Clarissa.
Hi.
Congratulations on all your awards, and it's really interesting to hear about your business.
Thank you.
And I just really wanted to ask you about understanding about the digital marketing and whether there's any online help in explaining and training in all of that, or do you just know it intuitively like most young people?
No. I mean, I've learned a lot over the years, but specifically there's several courses. I mean, Google does offer free education on it, and YouTube is a great help, but there's also specific courses. So I've been on several courses that are available. Like, I suppose I can share the links with you, but there's so many out there. But I would start with Google Digital. I think it's Digital Garage. I'll definitely send the link, and I suppose Robert can share it as well. But there are many, and it's pretty easy. What it is that you have to have the time, and you have to invest the time and practicing in doing it. And what's really important is knowing your business. You have to understand your business, understand your customer, and then you will achieve results.
Thank you.
So it depends on what stage you are in, like whether you've been running your business for years, or if you're just starting your business and you're still trying to find your customer. It really depends. In terms of free, there's several courses I've been to. Some of them are free, some of them are not free. And I will list those out for Robert as well.
Okay, well, I've gone a little bit ahead of myself by introducing Clarissa very early, but I know that she has to go. So if you could forgive me, Shazia, for putting Clarissa before you. Shazia is the Assistant Chief Executive of Brent Council, and she's going to talk to us about the Brent Community Action Plan. So over to you, Shazia.
Thank you, Robert, and really nice to see everybody. So yes, I'm Shazia Hussain, I'm the Assistant Chief Executive at Brent Council. So last summer, after the killing of George Floyd, as a council, we kind of recognised that given the community we're serving, and a large part of that community is, you know, Black, African, Caribbean, we called a public meeting where we wanted to hear from the community about the issues that were concerning them, but also to have an honest conversation with the council about what we could do around equality and equality of opportunity. And we were really pleased. We had about just over 80 residents. They were a mix of community leaders, some of them are on this call today, and it was hosted by our leader and our deputy leader, Councillor Maggie Fletcher, who's here today, and our chief executive. And whilst it was in parts a difficult conversation, it was an honest one and it was a constructive one, I think. And what came out of it was the Black Community Action Plan. So we've been now running that for about a year. It was adopted at full council. The reason that we had it adopted at full council was to show the importance of the plan, and also we wanted to make sure that we didn't divert from what the community had asked us. So there were 9 or 10 areas that the community wanted us to focus on. We can provide all of this detail, but just in terms of summary, so you've got some sense of it. Early intervention was a key one, working with children around the preventative agenda, but particularly working with young people in schools and working with young entrepreneurs as well. Enabling and strengthening community leadership, and that's about long-term creating sustainability within the community itself and making things so that they are bottom up and they're owned by the community. Developing community spaces, which links in with businesses, but also links in with enterprises and community and voluntary sector organisations who feel that actually that's sometimes one of the biggest barriers to them being able to sustain themselves. Supporting for employment and enterprise was a big one. Creating accountability within the council, and quite a lot of that was about ensuring that we have got the Black community sitting around the table where we are making decisions, and ensuring that there's proper accountability from the people that we're serving. Homes and homelessness was another key one. Tackling health inequalities and embedding equality and diversity within the council workforce as well. So we originally had it as a 1-year plan. We recognised quite quickly that it needed to be a 10-year plan if we were really going to have any sort of impact, and this needed to be a long game, but also there were short and medium term actions that we needed to deliver on. We also developed a steering group, which is made up of some of the representatives and the residents that came forward from the community. I think there's about 6 or 8 people who regularly meet and give us their time, and are completely invested in terms of making sure that we are delivering what we said we would do in terms of the action plan. So in order to hold ourselves accountable, we've done a 1-year plan, and the 1-year plan focuses on 3 key areas. The first one is the early intervention and children and young people and families, focusing on that. Second one is about building sustainable community leadership. And the third one is about supporting Black-led organisations, and quite a lot in that particular priority is around business development, supporting local businesses, but also supporting social enterprises and community organisations as well. And I think on that one, one of the big feedbacks that we had from the community was that some of our contracts, for example, are really hard for the community to bid for. So how do we ensure that we create mechanisms that make that procurement process easier, but also give people the tools and the capacity to be able to bid in the first place? So one of the things we're doing is we're in the process of getting a framework together where we can provide that support for yourself. So for businesses like Carissa, for example, if you felt there was a contract within the council that you wanted to apply for and tender for, it's not just about going onto the portal, but it's also about maybe because you may not be used to or familiar with writing a bid or writing a tender, and we would provide that support, and we would buy that support in. But the digital piece was also the other big one that we've been focusing on, recognising that many local businesses may not have the digital capacity, or may not have the digital knowledge, and we know from the year that we've had that actually, as you highlighted yourself, that has become really important in terms of businesses sustaining themselves and being in that market and being in that space. So that's the other area that we're working towards. So I think probably, Robert, that's all I'm going to say, just to give you some highlights of the Black Community Action Plan, and just to say that we're absolutely committed. I think we were one of the first councils to do something like that. We definitely want to put communities at the heart of what we're doing, and we've got leadership from the very top in terms of ensuring that this is something that we make core within our own services and within the way that we deliver for the communities of Brent. The other thing I should say is that we also had a race equality peer review. So peer review is where you get other people from other local authorities, so normally a chief executive and a leader and a local community representative, who come in and they basically look at our services, look at the way we do our businesses, look at our governance, and make recommendations about where there's sort of constructive challenge about where we could improve. And we've also got an action plan that goes with that. I think the good thing that came out of there was that there's quite a lot of work that we're already doing. There are areas that we could definitely improve on. And we want to become an organisation that's an anti-racist organisation, and we do a lot of work within our own workforce development as well. So, Robert, I think I'll leave it there, and I'm also happy to take any questions if people have any.
Okay. Given that we're running a little bit behind time, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat so that Shazi can address them. The person who's coming up next is well known to quite a lot of people around in this room. He is Julian Hall, and he's got a bio as long as my arm, so I'm going to pick out only a few highlights from there. Julian, among many hats, he is an advisor to the South Kilburn Trust that supported startup businesses. Julian sits on the Black Community Action Plan Steering Group. He's featured in Forbes as the entrepreneur, and Julian is the CEO and founder of the world's first artificial intelligence chatbot that can teach entrepreneurship to kids, and it's called Ask Ultra, hashtag Ask Ultra. He's co-written 3 degrees in entrepreneurship and launched the UK's first mobile game for kids entrepreneurship called Startup Dash. 5 years ago, he founded a multi-award winning social enterprise called Ultra Education CIC, which has been successfully teaching entrepreneurship to primary and secondary school age children from disadvantaged backgrounds. He's a proud member of the Association of Business Mentors, a freeman of the Company of Entrepreneurs, fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, membership of the Shakespeare Globe Counselling, and that's just to name a few. And he's won the London Prestige Awards, the National Mentee of the Year, Pride of Brent SME of the Year, Icon of Greatness Awards, and B-Mogul Awards. And again, that's only just a few of the awards that he's won. So after this, I'm going to just say, I'm going to need a breath to catch my breath back. Julian, please take it over.
Thank you, Councillor, and hello everybody. Hope we are all well and have enjoyed some sunshine today. Not sure how long it's going to last, so we've got to get it while it's here. But yeah, really pleased to be here with you guys and just to kind of share my experience as a Black business and how the pandemic has impacted us. So if I just kind of cast my mind back to that time, it was a particularly difficult time for me, actually, because for some of you may or may not know, but I lost my father the week before the official lockdown. We were fortunate enough to have had, a full funeral. So, we were kind of, happy that it wasn't restricted. But you can imagine with that in tow, then being told that, we're locked down in home and in business was a bit of a double whammy for myself and my family. And obviously for the employees in the business. But, given that we actually teach entrepreneurship and I advise businesses, I kind of thought to myself, if I look at it objectively, what would I advise myself? What would I tell myself as an entrepreneur? And actually, it's one of the things that Clarissa said earlier on, because I actually had a lot of businesses calling me and colleagues saying, what should we do? And what Clarissa said was absolutely correct, in that if you really understand your customer base and your audience, and you can provide a product or service that's going to help them out, that you'll be able to achieve some kind of success. So that's what we did. We revisited the work that we were doing with regards to the kind of youth entrepreneurship programs, and even though we had an idea of why, whether it was local authorities, housing associations, schools and parents, why they came to us, everybody was now in a new context. And so we had to kind of revisit all of those assumptions. So, I reached out to schools and to parents and said, basically, what's keeping you up at night at the moment? What challenges are you facing as we're coming into the pandemic? And with teachers in schools, it was about trying to keep kids engaged online. With parents, it was trying to keep them engaged with anything that had an educational value to it. Because, and I remember when we first started Ultra, I would ask people the question, why do kids go to school? And some people say, they go to learn, they go to get their GCSEs or get their SATs, whatever. But that's not the reason why kids go to school. Kids go to school to see their friends, if we're honest. That's the reason why kids go to school. And as a consequence of being in school, we hope that they get some learning. So we knew that parents were struggling and kids were struggling because there was a massive social element that they were no longer getting, and they weren't getting the bits in between the lessons, the playtime and the after school activities and stuff like that. So we realized that what we were able to offer was some academic relief, if you will, in a busy day, and to give kids something that would be outside of just strict academics, but also it would give parents an hour or two where their kids could be engaged in something meaningful, and not be biting at their heels when parents were already stressed out and had lots on. So so actually one of the first things we did, I remember, within literally 2 weeks of lockdown, was just to offer free workshops. We offered them to parents for their kids, and in about a month, about 6 weeks, we delivered about 50 free one-to-one sessions. Because for the previous 18 months, we'd been delivering a lot of our one-to-one tuition sessions over Skype. So we were already used to delivering in a kind of in a virtual environment. Much like most of us, we were aware of Zoom, but we didn't really use it. So straight away, we put our facilitators on some training to both to sort out all of the technical side of Zoom, but then also because I work with a number of kind of highly regarded teachers, a gentleman called Mark Martin in particular, we kind of just got together and reframed how we would deliver our programs online. Because, when you're in front of kids, that's one thing, that's one skill to engage them. But if you're not physically in front of them and you can't, they can't feel the energy, you can't see if they're about to fall asleep or, become disconnected. All you see nowadays is a camera go off. And that was the only indication that we would have. So we would do things like use the YouTube videos that we developed. We'd throw some games up, we'd share our screen and show some activities. We'd use other screenwriting tools just to keep some movement in front of them so that they wouldn't just disconnect. We would play music, we would tell awful jokes, we would, try a number of different things so that, for that hour and a half, the kids would be engaged. And in doing so, we could still get our learning across, and, give the teachers some outcomes, give the parents a sense of, their kids have achieved something for the day. So we really honed in on that, and we essentially repackaged the value proposition. We weren't necessarily delivering anything differently, but it was just the value that we had to offer the market. We just became very specific about that. And again, not shortly after that is when BLM kicked off with the murder of George Floyd. So we then had an influx of organizations and individuals who were asking us to respond. And actually, when we hired our COO, which was in September, he said on the interview that when he came across us as an organization and saw the work that we did at Ultra, he said it was the first time that he actually understood what Black Lives Matter meant. And that was interesting to me because that wasn't our intention. We didn't curate the copy on our website and what we did to explain that. But for me, we didn't put up a statement immediately because I would joke to friends and colleagues by saying that we were Black Lives Matter. We were always Black Lives Matter before it was a hashtag. And it was just now how we articulate that to everybody else. So those are all of the kind of the soft things. What we realized though was doing all of this stuff online was quite difficult. Being able to respond to all of the inquiries that we had left, right and center wasn't an easy task. And so we brought on some more volunteers, we hired some more young people, we brought on project managers for particular programs that we were running. We benefited from a business grant from Brent Council. We got some support from a social impact funder called Unlimited, who had given us some social impact investment just a few months prior. Also, National Lottery funded us to do another program. And so, you know, we had a number of projects that we were able to run, but it meant that we had to really knuckle down and update our systems and processes and policies, all to be both COVID compliant, but also lockdown friendly, but to give us the flexibility to then flip out of lockdown. Because, you know, as we all know, we were playing hopscotch with the dates as to when we may be in the, you know, inside the house or allowed out to play. And so we were, you know, keeping our finger closely on the pulse of what was going on there, because we knew that people were dying to just get out, meet. Kids were, you know, really looking forward to just engaging on a face-to-face basis. And so we found ourselves in this holding phase, which was a little bit uncomfortable for us, because it was difficult to make plans. One of the major things that we did, that we've been doing for a number of years, is our kids' business fairs, which Clarissa and I were talking about when we first came into the room, because her kids attended the fair we had in Granville. And each year it would be a thing that, you know, the Ultra ecosystem would look forward to, but we couldn't do it last year. So one of our project managers, a lady called Sandra White, who many of you may know, suggested that we used a platform called Hopin, where you could run virtual events. So at the end of August, beginning of September, if I recall, we ran our first online kids business fair. And it was great. You know, we made tons of mistakes. It didn't go according to plan, but the kids had fun. We learned a lot. And it was a new experience that we could, you know, write on the board. So, and I think I'll end it by saying that the pandemic and us responding as a business was all about new experiences for us. And those new experiences meant that we had to learn new things and do things differently. And it was challenging. In sometimes it was refreshing, and sometimes it did wear us down. But the feedback that we got from the people that we were working with, the parents, the teachers, and the kids, is ultimately the thing that kept us together as a team, kept us smiling, and kept us going. So I'll pause for a cause there and invite any questions or comments.
Okay, I was about to say, Julian, you've got 30 seconds left, but you beat me to it. Yes, if you've got any questions, again, because we're running late, please put it in the chat. One thing that we have heard from both Clarissa and from Julian is that during the pandemic, they knew their business. They actually looked at doing new things and learning new things. And obviously on the way out of lockdown, they're looking to do things differently. So we're going to be putting you all into a chat room for you to ask those 5 key questions, which I mentioned at the beginning, and a facilitator will actually note down and we will share when we come back. So Barbara, if we could start putting people into the breakout rooms, please.
Hi, everyone. Hi everyone. So I'm Shay. I'm gonna be facilitating this breakout room. So we have 20 questions to get through. Oh, Elaine, are you in my breakout room?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Do you want to do the facilitating then?
Yeah, of course. You want to get the screen out just so that we can see. Hi, Gordon and Charm.
Are you both from the council or something? Or
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
oh dear, this is gonna be. I think you're really gonna be talking to Charm because I'm an infiltrator from Lambeth.
So you work for the Lambeth Council?
No, I don't work for Lambeth
Oh,
Council.
you're from. Okay, all right then. Well, your insights might be useful. We can steal them. Hi, Charm and Elsina. So as Councillor Johnson mentioned, we just have some questions in terms of how your businesses have sort of been affected throughout COVID. And he will mention it later on, but I think it's to sort of guide the Black Business Network that we're looking to set up as part of the Brent Black Community Action Plan that Shadi was talking about. So if okay, I'm just going to go through the questions and then hopefully you can sort of share your experiences. So I'll start with the first one, which is, how has COVID-19 affected your business? And I think even actually maybe if Charm and Elsina, you could share what your business is, and also Gordon as well, share what your businesses are. That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, sure. Hi, good evening to you all. So I'm involved in health and wellness. I'm a wellness advocate, but I also work with essential oils in an aromatherapy setting to support your health and well-being on an emotional level as well as on a physical level. So it's still an evolving business, even though I've created some projects under that theme. And so for me, and I also work full time, so transitioning to working from home then led to giving more time to thinking about how you can reinvent yourself. And so through that, it enabled me to start making some products out of the oils. And that then led on to me feeling like I'd like to showcase these products that I've made, you know, some essential oil blends to support your immune system and to also for pain, for things like headaches and stuff like that. So that was my, that was what, how things progressed for me, really. That downtime just enabled me to sort of concentrate a bit more on it and how I was going to transition this business to being more mobile, more online, as opposed to being on a one-to-one, face-to-face. So yeah, just moving on quickly because I think I got a lot to say and I need to narrow it down. I then decided to have an afternoon in the garden at a venue near me that I'm really familiar with. And I was going to have this afternoon display these products, oils and other bits and pieces that are with oils in them down on an afternoon. And the venue manager said, well, why don't you invite some other people? So I thought, oh, all right then. And as a result of him doing that, suggesting that, I then went away, thought about the main staples that we look for in a community. So whether it's hair products, skin products, essential oils, anything to help with your health and well-being, cakes, books, 7 different types of businesses came together in July in Monks Park for a pop-up market. It was the first weekend of the Black Pound when, you know, Swiss brought out the whole theme of the Black Pound to help bring the focus on the African Caribbean businesses. And so, yeah, as a result of that, because it was so successful, we decided to carry on. And we had another one in August, and that had 14 vendors. Carried on as well, September and October, and by December, we had 28 vendors. We purchased our own marquee because we know that our people don't like the cold. So it was all about trying to still keep it going during the winter months. So we don't have money. We haven't been given any money. We used our own resources to purchase this marquee with the support of the venue manager down at Monks Park, Murray Cadet, and a few other individuals helped us out to set up this market. So yeah, it was a good year. It was a really good year. It was a totally organic project that has now become a passion. So I'm speaking to the right people, and I think I'm in the right place, having been encouraged to attend today. And I'm just excited to see other businesses around that I don't know about, especially because, you know, the market is going to be the perfect place to collaborate. And I've got quite a lot of ideas that I want to run with through the next, what's left of the year. Hopefully, you know, when as long as we can function. And yeah, that's it. So on top of me trying to establish my little business, which is still ongoing because a lot of attention has now moved to the market, speaking to the right people, making sure that when we pilot it again in July the 3rd and the 4th, and I'm sure I'll be able to exchange the information with you guys now that I've jumped on and I'm able to introduce myself to you. So that's it.
Thank you, Charm. Yeah, and thank you for sharing how actually out of COVID was quite a positive story, which you don't hear much of. So I just wanted to pass on to maybe Elsina and Gordon and Barbara, I think I saw as well, in terms of how COVID affected you. Was it a similar positive story, or were there any sort of negative impacts that COVID had on you and your business?
I'll definitely go last. I think the other Brent people should go.
Yeah, I think Barbara's just dropped off, and I'm not sure if Elsina can hear. So it might be you're free to go, Gordon. You're on mute.
No, I was just saying I can see Elsina.
Yeah, so
okay.
can I. Yeah.
All right, never mind. If no one else is going to speak. Okay, so I'll just kind of like give you an indication of how I even came across this. So I I was looking at something else, I think to do with the Willesden Church thing. And then I sort of like saw this thing about the black business stuff, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's definitely interesting because where I'm based in Brixton, there's a lot of interest around things like this. I don't know if you've heard about 81 Acts of Exuberant Defiance. It's something to do with the Brixton uprising / riots that happened. It's a commemoration project of that, and just reflecting on the kind of issues that led to that those events happening, and reflecting on the legacy of that and how to ensure that those kind of issues don't come up again. A community-led kind of approach to all of that. And one of the big things in that initiative is working on a project with them. And one of the big things that's come out of that discussions is around Black-led businesses working in partnership, I guess, with the council to address the issues that are affecting the Black community. And almost, I guess, becoming an inspiration for what youth can do with their lives, as opposed to seeing, being unhopeful and seeing sort of no way out and ending up into sort of like the youth violence epidemic that's happening in our area. So that's the kind of stuff that drew me to this. Yeah, so it was more going to be a listening situation, but
Okay.
luckily I do run, I am involved in my own kind of supporting my own business. So I'm a freelancer, and predominantly what I do is support the voluntary and community sector, organizations in the voluntary and community sector, bring in public sector and private sector experience and techniques and systems to the voluntary and community sector. So, because I've worked in both private sector and public sector extensively, very passionate about the community sector. It's just bringing my experience from this, whether that be project management, strategic advice and things like that, and systems development. In terms of how the COVID-19 has affected my working and the community organizations that I work with or that I'm involved with supporting. So sort of for my skill set, the need has gone up, definitely. Never worked so hard in my life, never been so busy. As you can imagine, the pandemic has affected how organizations are working, and because there's had to be a really quick pivot, whether that's loss of funding, ways of working and things like that. Most of the organizations have really, what they've done is become holistic. So let's say, for instance, as an example, an organization that maybe just does football coaching for young people. What I've noticed is that most of the organizations have become almost holistic organizations, doing lots more referrals, connecting with food and doing this, that, and the other, and supporting families, advising, all that kind of stuff, mentoring, because that's just what's been needed. And I think that's reflected whether you're a voluntary sector or even small businesses. I think I heard a couple of people say that because they know their customer or they recognize the needs of their customer, they've added more services to their business model. So the pandemic situation has really pushed everyone to either change or add services just because the need is there. What I've mainly been doing with the organizations that I've supported is, if they can, is to use the pandemic situation to take a step back and become more resilient. It's difficult because you're really in the situation. The need is crazy. It's there, and you just feel like you need to respond. But I've always said, sometimes when you become overwhelmed with everything, actually it's just to slow down, take a step back and say, do you know what? We need to re-strategize. Everyone kind of accepts that we're not going to be able to provide the same level of services that we have. So people are a bit more forgiving and use that capacity to build in, do those projects that you never had a chance to kind of get to, whether that's setting up a website, building new systems, some training or whatever. And that's kind of what I've been pushing organizations to do more of that. The other thing that I've really done during this time, and that has been, people have bought more into because of things like, and I know I'm sort of focusing more on the voluntary sector, but that's just where my expertise is because of the competition for finance, funding, and all that kind of stuff, is to do more partnerships. So how does that work with businesses? Private sector businesses. I think, especially within the SME sector, there's a lot of opportunity, because I've always said to the voluntary and community sector, the businesses are part of the community. They're not separate to the community. They are the community. Without your small shops or whatever, the community doesn't exist. Everybody needs a hairdresser and so on and so forth. Everybody needs the food shop around the corner and so on. So I've really been looking at how SMEs particularly can work together in partnership with the voluntary and community sector to provide services that meet the objectives that everybody and outcomes that everybody's chasing.
Thank you. And sorry to cut you off, but I'm just conscious of time.
I was going to leave it there anyway, yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your contributions. So I think I'm going to jump a few questions just to get to the last one. I think it's quite important, because I think you both have been able to highlight some of the positive things that come from it. But I guess in terms of support required post-lockdowns, as we might be coming out of lockdown on 21st of June. What sort of support could be put in place to like better support you? And as part of that, have you received support? So I know, Charm, you mentioned that you obviously everything was coming from your own pockets and those you're working with. So did you receive any support from the government? And then if not, what sort of support would you like moving forward as we come out of lockdown? And Janelle, I just noticed you joined as well. So if you wanted to contribute sort of how COVID has affected your business, and also if there's any support you'd like to see as we move out of lockdown. So I can start with Janelle if you're there and happy to contribute.
Hi, I'm just listening to you guys, so please go ahead. I just came all the way from Liverpool, so I'm drained. So I just wanted to be a part of this. So you guys go ahead. I'm enjoying it so far. So you guys go ahead. Thank you.
No worries. So I guess it's to Charm, Elsina and Gordon. What sort of support is required for you to readjust post-lockdown? Is there anything in terms of business support, funding, a network? Like what does support look like?
Yeah, I think all of the above, really, from what you said, and what is available to a new project such as this that is, evolved out of as a result of what's gone on, how people have recreated themselves and recreated businesses. We even had children who were in lockdown doing their projects that also participated in our market as well. So there's so much of a wide scope of opportunity that is available to the community, because essentially where it is located is right in the heart of the community. And that's what it is about. And that has encouraged us to do what we've done unaided. I'm starting to have conversations with Brent about support, which has been agreed, but it's not coming in the form of money. It will be more resources, etc., which will help somewhat. Of course, it'll help a lot, but of course, there's additional overheads that we incur that we can only rely on the revenue that comes in from vendors, because we charge for the stall, etc. So, getting a strength in that area is paramount so that we can ease back a little bit and, start to build that cash flow. And possibly even a location. Like I said, there's so much scope for the market, and for it to build upon it and make it more frequent, because at the moment it would be just once a month, which is good at the moment, especially as I work full time. And it is a lot. And, we're working with favors. I've been able to speak to local radios, Unique, Roots. We've got fantastic support from Blaze, Patricia Wharton from Chalk Hill Radio. And she was there from the beginning when we spoke, on the back of me looking for someone that does books. And she said she'd come down, and she came down and she went live, and people came down on the back of that. So, really utilizing people that are in the community to really get behind this. Really get behind what's going on, this platform that's been created just out of passion and love for our community, and just connecting with so many business owners I've never met. I've been in the marketplace at various different events where I would have connected with these people. I may have just taken a card. So it was nice to be able to give them a ring and say, listen, I was at this event, picked up your card, and this is what I'm doing. They don't know me because I'm not a name brand person in the game, but I just come with a sincere and genuine love for my community and for building us up and giving us as much support that I can give in the way that we've been doing it. So, we're a group of like-minded individuals that just want the support. We want the marketing behind it. We just did a lot just on our own. We had Councillor Butt and Dawn Butler, Councillor Butt and Dawn Butler come down on the August bank holiday, and that was nice. We've got some nice visuals as well, and so yeah, we kick it off again on the 3rd and the 4th of July. So if you can let me know who I need to send information to get this out there and get some support with it. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. So I just noticed we've got 42 seconds left, so I don't think we've got much more time for any comments. So I guess I'll see you all in the next room. So you can leave it now, or you can wait for 32 seconds, but I'll see you all in the main room. Thank you for sharing all your contributions, much appreciated.
Can you, how long is it going to run for? Because I've got another Zoom to jump on at 7. It's 7 now.
Another half an hour, finish it at 7:30.
Okay, but it's going to be recorded, right? Although this is quite effective. Yeah. You know, it's been quite effective. So I've sent through my details so that I can be added to an attendee list, you know,
yeah, we've seen. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay. It was interesting discussions in your breakout room, I would imagine. And what we're going to do now is have a panel who you could throw direct questions at. I'm not sure if there's any questions in the chat at the moment. No, there's no questions in the chat at the moment. So you are at liberty to throw questions, and the persons who are on the panel are, well, Clarissa's unfortunately had to go, so it's going to be Julian Hall, Lorraine Hughes, Shazia Hussain, Shay Consterlin, Elaine, and Jade. So they're going to be on the panel as such. So if you've got any questions that you'd wish to throw to the panel in relation to what you were discussing in your breakout rooms, please feel free. If you want to put it into the chat button, or you could raise your hands. So any questions? Right, Elaine.
Hiya, so I had a question in the breakout room that I was facilitating, a really good question, and it was about support that will be in place for sort of businesses who have actually thrived through lockdowns, or small businesses who use opportunity to create something. How will they be supported to sustain that and expand coming out of lockdown? So I just wanted to ask the panel what support's in place.
So those who are in the Black Community Action Plan, Jade, you've got your hands up. Jade?
Yep, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yep. So I'm Jade Christie, Economic Development Officer at Brent Council, and I think that's a very good question that's actually asked, because we did, in my meeting, we did have businesses that actually pivoted quite well during the COVID. I think one thing that we want to encourage, and it's definitely, we're working on a community wealth building program, and predominantly focus at businesses and SMEs that are looking for local contracts and opportunities within Brent. So what we are doing is, it's a mix of two. We are capacity building, and we are trying to build our local knowledge of businesses in the borough. So we've created a local supplier registration form that's for anybody that's looking to engage with contracts, understand how to bid for contracts. And we also delivering Brent for Business webinars as well to support those businesses. One thing that's come back is that it's not so much that there aren't businesses in the community that can deliver on those contracts, it's building their awareness and building their capacity for developing them to bid for those contracts. So that is an opportunity, and I can actually drop a link into the chat function for anyone that wants to register as a local supplier in the Brent Borough.
Please do. Any other questions? Elaine, I saw your hand up again, or is that a legacy one?
Yeah, I've put it down now.
Okay. Right, okay, I've got two. How will people deal with lockdown and young people on the streets? And that's coming from Elsina Jeffers. How do we deal with people with lockdown issues and young people on the street? I'm not sure how this relates to business, but I would imagine that if a young person wanted to get support in startup business, that may be one way of doing that. Again, I may ask either Elaine Oh, Julian, you could address that question.
I thought I'd put up a real hand. So it would appear that actually in the last kind of since, year and a bit since lockdown, that young people more and more want to start their own businesses and explore wanting to, become their own bosses. And part of that is in response to just the challenging work environment. So a lot of them just haven't been able to get work in the traditional way. So they've looked towards self-employment as an option. And I think just looking at everyone in the room, I mean, for young people, we could be and act as their mentors. There's a lot of us who have done there's some great stories, some great examples of business people in the room. And I think young people would really benefit, young people in Brent would really benefit from speaking to business owners in Brent who have already trodden a path that many of them will want to go on. And I just think, and particularly giving them that local knowledge of opportunities and the landscape, I think would be really beneficial. So yeah, I think there is a heightened kind of ambition for young people now, but I would like to marry that with support from Brent. There's lots of support that's going on, outside of Brent. I mean, Innovate UK have just dropped an opportunity for 18 to 30-year-olds, which I was sharing today. But I think if we could do something similar to engage, kind of younger people with an ambition for business, I think that will be also worthwhile.
Okay. Councillor McLennan.
Thank you very much, Robert. Yes, I only can echo what Julian is saying, and I'm sure he's aware what's happening in the background and so forth. So I do hope that in the very near future, there will be very much opportunities for young people to learn about entrepreneurship with a support package around them, so they were able to be physically able to do so in a sustainable way. And no more from that. It's pending, but hopefully more details soon.
Lorna, you have your hands up.
Thanks, Councillor. Rather than answer the question, what I will say is in our group, we had a request for a mentor. We've got Dean on the line. Dean is a personal trainer. He runs his own business and he would welcome a more experienced business to mentor him. So just throwing it out there as an offer that we have a business on the line that is seeking a mentor. So do that, bear that in mind as we go through our conversation tonight. And if you feel that you've got something to offer and you can support Dean, do let us know.
Okay. There is a question in the chat. It says, is tenders for contracts the only route to get support? Jade.
I believe that came through, is it Sham?
Yes, it was.
Yep. I believe Sham's actually in contact with one of our town centre managers, Ruby, and that's working on the actual market idea moving forward. What I will say is that it's not just the contracts and tenders support that we only support with. We are looking into digital training and e-commerce and how to pivot your business, online apps and shopping apps, and how we can get more businesses to raise their awareness in the local community. And I think it's important that, because I'm not quite sure what service Sham's actually looking for, but we can actually, catch up offline and talk about that in more detail.
Okay. Sham, if you put your email address in the chat and Jade can pick it up, okay? Dawn.
Okay.
My question really, I think it goes to Shazzy. Is it Shazzy?
Shazia.
Shazia. Oh, sorry. You mentioned that Brent is now an anti-racist borough, and would there be a requirement for organisations that are contracted with Brent to also be anti-racist? And what would be the key things that you're looking for linked to that?
So just to clarify, I don't think we're an anti-racist borough. I think we are aspiring as a council to be an anti-racist organisation.
Right.
We don't think we're there yet. We've got some work to do, but we're definitely, that's a priority for us, and that's something that came out of the peer review. Part of that is about having a workforce that reflects the community. Part of that is about having people from the Black Afro-Caribbean community who are in leadership roles within the council as much as within the committees and other areas that we work in. And it's also about having conversations internally about our own prejudices and how do we address those as an organisation, as a member of staff. So there's quite a lot of internal stuff that we're doing at the moment, but we also have agreed that we want to move that conversation onto our contractors and we want to move it onto our partners, particularly our public sector partners within the NHS and within the police as well. So that's what we're doing at the moment, but I couldn't say that we're an anti-racist organisation at the moment, but that is definitely something that we're aspiring to do.
Okay.
Right. Any other questions? Just to add to Shazia's point, our partners, such as the police, such as the NHS, such as education or facilities, such as commerce or whoever we partner with, the message is that we are aiming to be an anti-racist authority, and we want them, if they're going to be contracting with us, to do the same. And it's going to be a challenge, and it's going to take some time before that's achieved. But at least we've put the marker down so that we can actually see positive changes in our community. Lorna.
Thanks, Councillor. My comment is in relation to Charm's comment in the chat. Our tender's the only route to get support. From my position, looking after the BCAP, as a member of the BCAP, you have the opportunity for us to promote you as part of our communication strategy. We recently put out a piece featuring Julian and all of the work that Julian is doing as part of our communication strategy. So I think as Black businesses locally, you would be welcome to come along and get involved in being a part of the BCAP, and we would utilise that as a means of communicating and promoting your business as well.
Okay, I recognise that there are some other organisations who quite a few of us don't yet know. So places like people like Gordon, people like Body Profits, people like Nathaniel Carr Johnson. If you could introduce yourself and say what you do. Gordon.
You want me to go first? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, the reason why I was holding back is because I don't really do any work in Brent at the moment. So that's why I was sort of like just leaving the space for other people. I said that in the other room. I'm mainly based in Lambeth.
Right.
Visiting, was quite attracted to the title of the event, and now that I'm here, I'm even more interested. Because actually, what the council is attempted to do, I'm assuming the council is leading this initiative, is ties in with a project that I am actually working on, where this is some of what has come out of those conversations around having more visibility of Black-led businesses and how that can help the council achieve its objectives for community outcomes. So I'm really listening in, just seeing who the key players are at the moment and seeing how I can get in touch at some point to take some of the learnings, I guess, and maybe even connect, because I personally am a freelancer supporting the voluntary and community sector with just bringing public sector experience and private sector experience into the community organizations. And at some point I will kind of stretch beyond Lambeth.
Okay. Well, welcome. And it would be good connecting up. And clearly, if we're doing something good, we're quite happy for you to share. And equally, if you're doing something good, which we need to know about, please share. Body Profit. I don't know what your real name is, but that's what. Do you want to share what you do?
My name's Dean Malcolm.
All right, Dean.
I'm a personal trainer. I have a private facility, little studio that I work out of for more than 5 years now. And yeah, I'm just trying to grow and expand and just provide health services, well-being, lifestyle to my community. Yeah, I'm really endeavoring to, within the next, maybe by next year, to go to, even though everything's going digital, I definitely want to have I'm looking at a commercial premises where I'm thinking to expand into therapies, physios, massage, chiro, yeah, those type of things. So yeah, I'm just, I'm on the road.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing. Nathaniel.
Bear with me a second, I'm still working. I'll run a small joinery practice, mainly doing commercial properties, shop fits, restaurants, trying to do more of it, getting quite busy doing it, but for the last last year or so during the lockdown, I've done a lot of residential work, which kept me out of trouble.
And where are you based?
I'm based in, my workshop is in Park Royal, which is just straddles the line between Ealing, the Borough of Ealing and Borough of Brent. But I live in Ladbroke Grove, raised in Brent.
Okay, thank you. Janelle? Janelle's not there. Lorna, you hand your hands up, so we could go to you, Lorna.
Oh, it's an old hand.
Okay, all right, thanks. Right, is there anybody else who we've not really heard from? Right, Jade.
It's just a side note I wanted to say, and it's two things really. I think one is that we should definitely start challenging those banks that we actually bank with. They have quite a lot of resources available and business hubs, and they will provide that information free of service. And I guess the secondly is, during this time, there's a lot of black business marketplaces that's actually appeared, which are online marketplaces that are specifically for black businesses. And accessing those you'll be able to raise your profile, much more as well, which I could drop a few links in the chat function, but just a few ideas.
Yeah, I'm aware of the Facebook Black Business Group. So, and obviously there are others as well. Is there anyone in the room who's not been able to share? Okay, Pat, you haven't said anything, although I know you very well.
That's incredibly uncharacteristic, isn't it?
Yes.
So I am actually from the charity sector, from the third-party voluntary sector, from an organisation called Advice for Renters. We basically do what the name says on the can. We work with low-income families that are eligible for legal aid, facing eviction or living in serious health-threatening disrepair. I actually run the Financial Inclusion Project, so I'm working with people at the other end of the spectrum, I guess, those that are really struggling financially. As I said earlier, we've got the largest BAME community. We've been one of those that have been hit most profoundly by the financial aspects of the pandemic. My interest really is reaching out to work, particularly with the with BCAP, to support other organisations, community projects, early intervention organisations and projects to actually just basically to facilitate them and support them, really. I'd love to say that I would single-handedly mitigate financial exclusion in Brent all by myself, but I need all of you guys as well. So you guys as business entrepreneurs and with the means to supporting other charity and community projects as well. So that's me.
Okay. I think I've got to the point where I'm going to ask the panel if they could share at least a minute of what's come out of their session and how you think that we can move forward. So I'm going to start off with Shazia, if you can actually share.
Yeah, sure, certainly. So it's been really interesting. It's been really interesting to hear from some of the businesses. It's been really reassuring to hear that certainly the workshop I was in, where businesses have managed to pivot themselves and have managed to sustain themselves and doing the online stuff, etc. I think what's come at it for me, just listening and observing, is that the thing we're trying to do with Black Community Action Plan is we need more more people from the Black community to engage, and we need to make sure that it's designed and the future delivery is designed by those communities. So what I suppose is more of an ask than anything else is whether, with the support of Jade, whether we can do something that enables this group of people to grow and be a network that we can engage with, and also bounce ideas from and reflect back and think about what we're doing, whether we're doing what we're providing is appropriate or what we need to redesign and how we might provide that. But also, we do this quite a lot with the voluntary and community sector, but we don't do it so much with businesses. So I think I would be really interested in this not finishing today, and this is a great start, and I'm really grateful to Councillor Johnson for arranging this, but I would like the conversation to carry on, and I would really like to keep talking to the businesses here, and we need to find a way to do that. So that's my reflection.
Okay. Right, okay. Jade.
Yeah, very interesting session we actually had. From what it was quite interesting, because I guess you would have thought that the COVID would have been, just a negative effect on all businesses, but some businesses pivoted really well, and they actually raised their sales, and the fact their customers and consumer base grew. It was quite interesting. One of the comments that came from one of the businesses that was worried about how, I guess, business, is it going to go to business as usual when it comes back, or is it going to be business unusual? And is it going to be a mixed approach in terms of customers? Are they going to want to come physically to training events, or are they going to want a webinar approach? And I think that's interesting. That was an interesting point that came back. And just to second Shazia's comments, there is something coming soon in terms of a Black Business Network, and we are working in the background. So, please just look out for further updates.
Okay, Lorna.
Thank you. I mean, the comments that Shazia made, I would absolutely echo. We want this to be an ongoing conversation. In terms of what came out of my group, very much the same as what Jade has pointed to, hybrid models, the need to have a physical presence as well as having some digital capability. So I think there's a further conversation to be had about making sure everybody has got the right skills, training, resources in place, and how can we work together to make sure that all businesses are able to survive in the new world. I think in terms of the network, I'd be quite interested to see how this group might share their views to shape a Black Business Network. Jade, I know the work is going on in the background, but actually, how can you as businesses inform how that network operates, the frequency? Should it be physical? Should it be online? What are the kind of topics, the agenda things that you want to discuss, and how we can make that network work for a range of businesses? We've seen people from different sectors coming here tonight. We've got a joiner, we've got fitness, we've got services delivering to young people. So that's quite a mix. So how can we work together to create a network that's going to work for a range of businesses? So I'm really keen to keep on listening to the businesses so that the network works for you and enables Black businesses to thrive. I think it's quite striking. There's been a lot of comments put in the chat. A few links have been dropped in. So individually, all of you know little bits that you can share with others. How can we pool all of that knowledge and that strength and share it much wider than those of us that are here tonight? So I think the creation of a network that draws on your experience, your expertise, is actually quite critical for the newer, younger businesses coming forward. And I turn to Dean, who said very early on that he was looking for a mentor. I'm sure there are businesses, many businesses in the borough that would be willing to mentor Dean. So how do we stay together, share the expertise, share the experience, so that businesses can thrive? So I'm with Shazia on wanting to keep that conversation going. I do think that the BCAP is a great opportunity. We've already got a structure in place. We have several theme groups that are led by members of the community and also led by business leader that's in the room. We've got Julian here tonight. He leads one of our theme groups. How can we use that BCAP infrastructure to include a louder voice of local businesses? So I think there's plenty of room for the conversations to carry on, and I look forward to working with you all.
Okay, and Elaine, I know you're going to be struggling to put over things that has not already been said. So, Elaine.
Yeah, just an emphasis on actually what's been said around not only have business survived, but they've thrived and like grown. So that was a real positive. And I think what underpinned that was sort of partnerships and collaboration. And so as everyone said, it's really important that we continue having these conversations and working together. And I guess the final point is about some of the stuff that's been mentioned, just making sure that people have an awareness of that. So again, looking at how we promote all of this information that's being shared.
Thank you. And Dean, you've got a mentor. Julian's offered. If you wish to get in contact with him, and I'm going to ask Julian if you could actually say a few things before you go.
Sure. So, I mean, I'm really encouraged by Brent's move to pull us together in this forum, and yourself, Councillor Roberts. And I think that if we can keep this momentum going, and as Shazia said, not for this to be a one-off and for us to see each other again, and to just develop a habit of coming together, sharing ideas, resources, opportunities, and for the community to contribute on an equal footing to what Brent Council is bringing to the table, because they absolutely do need our voice and to inform a lot of the initiatives and the brilliant ideas that I think they actually do have. But I think this is an opportunity, and I always say to members of the community, this is our opportunity to contribute on what I feel thus far has been a reasonably level footing, which is a new dynamic that we're getting used to. But it really is positive, and I just think that if we can just keep this momentum up and just keep sharing, then I think this can really make an impact on businesses in Brent.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And Shazia, I do believe that we want to continue to have another session, and I think more than likely it's going to happen around the beginning of September, so we're going to give it time. Hopefully the Black Community Action Plan group will have set up and got itself going, and then we can actually see how things have progressed between now and then. So we will send you a date sometime in September to do another one of these. Okay, Barbara, if you could put up the closing poll, please.
Ooh, did Joel do that? Look,
Yeah, he did. Okay, but Joel, if you could put it.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
Councillor Johnson, can I just, this is not really anything to do with meeting, but I just wanted to say hello to Barbara, because Barbara and I worked together
Yeah, okay.
17 years ago. I think I was about 8.
I was trying to count on my fingers, Shazia. How many years has it been? And then I remembered our children were born a month apart.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to say hello.
Okay, so if we could fill out the poll, please. For some reason, I've lost it. Can everyone else see it?
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I've lost mine. I can't.
No, mine's is up. I'm completing it now.
I've got it, but I can't submit.
Okay.
Scroll up. You should be able to submit if you scroll up a little bit.
Oh, do you know what I think? If you go to the bottom of your screen, if you go to the bottom of your screen,
Oh, right,
and press
okay,
polls
sorry,
again,
there's
it will
more
come up.
questions. I didn't see that. Beg your pardon.
Yeah, if you're on a mobile, you get different view.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't realise it was a third. There was a third.
Yeah, there's a third one.
And only half of us have participated. Could everyone participate, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think me and Councillor Johnson are able to as the hosts. So
Yes.
I did try earlier on.
Yeah.
But we can't. Yeah. I think they were the two that haven't voted last time.
Yeah.
And me too, because I was
and Joel as well.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, it was
Thank you. The
7.
percentage is growing.
It was
So
7
more
of
people participate.
last time. So yes, I'll end the polling now. So the answers to question 1, there is a tie between incentivize me to link up with black businesses and all of the above. The second one is, do I know where to get business support? And 29% said yes, but don't know was 57%. And the final one was 6 out of the 7 would be willing to be part of a black business network, which is excellent. Okay, so right, okay.
Could I just be reminded what Lorna Hughes does? She's mentioned BCAP several times.
Yeah, Lorna.
Hi, Gordon. So I'm Lorna Hughes. I'm the interim head of strategy and partnerships at the council, and BCAP is one of the programs that I look after along with Elaine and Che, who are on the call under Shazia's direction as the assistant director of the council. Sorry, the assistant chief exec.
Sorry, we shouldn't use acronyms. So it's the Black Community Action Plan that I was talking about at the beginning, is what
right.
Lorna's referring to. Actually, I nearly corrected you, Lorna, to say, please don't say BCAP.
Sorry. Sorry.
It's
Okay.
the habit of the council, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, much appreciated. That's fine.
I'm really happy that we've put this on, and I'm really happy that people have found it worthwhile, so much so that we will do a repeat event in September. So thank you for coming. Thank you for your time. And most of all, we hope that you will find this of benefit to you and that you can actually link up. For those who are interested in joining a network, I would suggest that you contact Lorna Hughes. Her email is in the chat, and then you can link up with a black business network. Okay. Thank you again.
Councillor Johnson, sorry.
Yep.
We probably, if people are happy, we may just get in touch with you directly as well, just as a follow-up, and then that means you're not, if you haven't got Lorna's email or whatever, we will make a direct contact. I mean, we're working closely with Jade as well on that.
Yes, so. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, and I hope you have a pleasant evening.
Thank you, Councillor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you all.
See you.